Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Eden Eye Tarot, where we illuminate your stars and your cards. My name is Micah. I will be your astrologer and tarot reader for today. Today, we'll be getting into the astrology of November. So here is actually where I am going to take a pause from my general intro spiel. Let me know how you guys would most like for me to do tarot readings for the 12 signs, because as of right now, I have a couple things coming out all within the same week. November is a very action packed, like the first week of November seems to be very, very action packed as far as media and things like that, and videos, both on a personal level for me, but also on the collective level, in the world in general. So I'm not surprised that this is coming up, but I have a lot of videos that are all coming out at once. And I realize that this could be more of a long-standing issue, since I do release not only my own content on this page, but also I release the half-ass witchery episodes on this channel as well. And we do the tarot readings for each sign for each season. And so this will be the Scorpio season episode that's coming out around the same time as this video, as well as the new moon in Scorpio episode that will be coming out on the 1st as well. Or on Halloween, possibly. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to release that video, but it'll either be on the 31st or on November 1st. I'm not sure yet, but we'll have those videos coming out as well, which is going to be great as far as a lot of content. But to add on 12 different separate videos of all of the signs coming out with their own tarot reading, it's quite a bit. And so for now, for November, I'm going to leave it as the half-ass witchery episode will be the 12 sign tarot readings for Scorpio season. And I will not be doing any sort of tarot readings or astro readings for November in this video. So if you would like a tarot reading for the energy for Scorpio season, then you would need to default back to the half-ass witchery episode for Scorpio season at this time until I figure out how exactly I want to do this. That's how we're going to do it. But let me know if you have a better idea about how you guys would want me to do that. If you like the format of 12 different, small videos with, astro and tarot readings for each sign, or if you would just like them all consolidated in their own kind of one video. Possibly with timestamps. I'm not promising anything, possibly with timestamps though. But or if we just want to keep it how it is, where we have all the tarot readings on half-ass witchery, and that's how we do the monthly or the seasonal tarot readings for the 12 signs. So let me know. But getting on to beyond that, go ahead and give this video a like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. We are trying to get this channel to grow to 1,000 subscribers by March 10th. 2025. So if you want to get me a free birthday present, that would be the way to do it. I would love to see this channel grow, and it would help this channel grow and get the word out to people that would enjoy this kind of content. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the astrology of November. I do have my notes here. I don't have anything else up on the screen except for me. And so we are going to get right into it. So if you see me looking down, I am looking at my notes just to kind of keep track of dates. But let's get right into it. We have, obviously, kicking off on November 1st, we have the new moon in Scorpio video, which not new moon in Scorpio video. We have the new moon in Scorpio, and that has its own video that has been released either on Halloween or the 1st of November. So go over to that video to check that out. Check out that breakdown. And the day after, on November 2nd, we have Mercury going into Sagittarius. So let's talk a little bit about those ingresses, starting with Mercury and Sagittarius on November 2nd. So Mercury in Sagittarius, Mercury is moving into a Jupiter ruled sign, which is not the most comfortable place for Mercury to be because Jupiter is its energetic opposite. And so we see not so much a lot of logic happening so much when we have Mercury in the expansive, more optimistic side of Jupiter. It does lend itself to big picture thinking, and it can therefore lend itself to not looking at the small details of things. And so I think we'll see a lot of possible fact checking that happens, especially when we start to get into the square to Saturn on November 12th. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But Mercury in Sagittarius is really going to lend itself to more expansive worldviews or more universal big picture questions and debates, especially because Jupiter as an energy in Sagittarius has to do with laws and legal things and legal documents that even have to do with travel. I think we'll see a lot of possible delays, or at least, possibly some restrictions that are coming in, or debates even that are coming in when it comes to travel, especially internationally, or it has to do with people that are overseas. And with that being said, I think with Mercury and Sagittarius, there can be this overly optimistic thinking that can come up as well. But it also sorry, I'm trying to keep on track because I have 1,000 thoughts at the same time going in my head. And so I apologize if I am not going from one thought to another in the most smooth way, but um, but yeah, we'll see Mercury in Sagittarius also really lend itself to debate. It can talk about what are our leaders saying, what are they, kind of envisioning for the future. But on a personal level, it really leads us to think more so about our personal philosophies. It really lends itself to more open-minded thinking or a more spiritual sense of thinking rather than a more logical sense of thinking. More intuitive. There we go. I think is a better word for that. Because Sagittarius is that. It's loud and it's proud. And so we can see, again, a lot of people just, talking very loud. And that has its own connotation of the loudest person in the room isn't always the one that's right. But Sagittarius is also looking for truth. And so while it is a big picture thinker when Mercury is in this sign, I think there is a lot of exposure of the truth that can come from that. Now let's get into the square to Saturn. I think with the square to Saturn in Pisces, which it will have on November 12th, we'll start to see delays in travel or some issues having to do with delays in travel overseas in particular, or people that are far away, possibly immigrants or laws surrounding those groups of people. We can also see, I think what we'll see the most, honestly, is some issues surrounding where are we over-promising and under-delivering, or where are we being sold a pipe dream? Because Saturn and Pisces can be very much delulu, but the other side of it is the reality check. And when Mercury in Sagittarius is squaring up against that, it does give the opportunity for the media to be fact checked on what is not true and what's kind of like smoke and mirrors.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots.
Especially with the things that aren't being said. Saturn in Pisces is going to be a lot about how we're being restricted in ways that we cannot see, or what is affecting the body. Saturn can be like the skin, the bones, all the things that are very much structural in our bodies. And Mercury and Sagittarius can talk a lot about medicine, and how certain medicinal things are, and how certain pharmaceuticals can be affecting us in ways that we are not able to see yet. And possibly how the government knew about those things. I don't want my channel to get shut down. When it's just started, that would be something, wouldn't it? But those things can come up, I think, a lot with this square. Independent media, I think, will be a big thing that can really be very helpful, but obviously there will be restrictions, I think, on independent media, because independent media to me is going to be more so Mercury's energy, but Mercury is in a Jupiter ruled sign. And so it's a lot of, I think, on a collective level, leaders saying, I don't want you to pay attention to what the small guy is saying. I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. It's like the ultimate magician trick. And so focusing on what isn't being seen, but also at this time, we'll eventually see the sun go into Sagittarius in November, with Mercury being in Sagittarius at the same time. And at that point, we'll have Venus we'll have Venus in Capricorn. Venus will be at the very beginning of Capricorn. Pluto will be at the end of Capricorn. And so I think it's a lot about where our leaders are kind of like hiding certain things as far as resources. And it's very much about like what we aren't seeing. There can be a lot of misunderstandings, as well as like not just because Mercury will be going retrograde in Sagittarius.
God, please, no! No! No!
Which will really make us reevaluate our beliefs, kind of fact check where we're being like overly optimistic in our thinking and not thinking too much about the small details. But it can also be a time where it can essentially be a time of like more closed-mindedness, personally, rather than, I guess it could be on a collective level. We're thinking a bit smaller with Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius, or just a reevaluation of where can we think bigger, or where can we dream bigger, where can we dare to go and expand, because Sagittarius is also a lot about freedom. And so it can be about like, where are we being restricted? Where are our actual beliefs and philosophies restricting us as well? With that also being said, I think that during this transit, we'll see a lot of people saying a lot of words, but not actually saying anything of substance. And with the elections coming up, at least in the United States, you can only imagine like how this is going to play out. And I think it'll be really interesting. But we can see, a lot of arguing in circles. Finally, just kind of going back to that whole Venus in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn thing happening. I think I even mentioned this in the Scorpio new moon video. I do wonder, because at that time, the sun will be 12th house to this aspect in Capricorn, with Sagittarius being in the mix. I do wonder, especially obviously, like not just the sun being in Capricorn, but Mercury also being in Capricorn. It's like what coverage is being hidden by the media about like the real statistics as far as like jobs, or like medicine as well. I think that definitely can be the case, because at that time, Mercury is in a situation where it is 12th house to those Venus and Pluto things. And so Venus and Pluto gives me very much like greed as far as resources. And Mercury is right behind that. And so it's like some sort of information is being hidden regarding resources, regarding beauty, or relationships, whether it's on a collective level or a personal level. On November 18th, we'll see Jupiter and Mercury. So Mercury in Sagittarius oppose Jupiter in Gemini, where I think we'll see possibly some debating around voting, or like surrounding like leaders, or like media coverage of leadership, or just like some censorship issues can really come up, I think. Again, because we're looking at Mercury in a Jupiter ruled sign and Jupiter in a Mercury ruled sign. And so there's some conflict around media and leadership, or like beliefs and thought processes, or at least what's being reported or exposed or expanded upon, and maybe like where things are being a bit minimized. And so that to me says a bit of censorship is happening, especially since we would have just been getting out of that square with Saturn and Pisces. And we will get back to Venus and Capricorn in just a second, but I do want to kind of try and do this in chronological order. We'll see another ingress from Venus, or not from Venus, from Mars, going from Cancer into Leo. So Mars in Leo is essentially where leaders hold the power, or there's a lot of energy going towards leaders. Leo is the king of the jungle. And so we can see, therefore, Mars and Leo being very much like leaders making big, bold moves.
If you get mad, even if you get offended, so what you gonna do? Because I guarantee you can't beat me up.
And I think this is also where the confidence is coming in when it comes to leadership, and why I say there are a lot of big changes happening, but it's like slow change. But things are definitely happening. Like, it's more so a time where it feels like that tilt-a-whirl, but like the wheel that you like turn on the tilt-a-whirl like needs a little bit of oil. It's not moving as fast and as easy as it should. But Mars and Leo, I think, definitely contributes to that because Mars and Leo is in a fixed energy that has so much to do with the sun. And so while it gives so much star power and it gives a lot of passion and determination, it's a time where at best it's working from the like a lot of instincts are or a lot of action is coming from the heart, but it can also be, action comes in a very aggressive way that's very self-serving, that's very ego driven as well. Mars in Leo, I think, can definitely bring some flirtatious energy, I suppose, or just like an extra bit of confidence. And so, definitely, November, I think, is a very confident, ambitious kind of month. So that's something positive that we can look forward to. But it will eventually square off, I guess, energetically. Not it before it retro. It won't. Not in November, but it won't square off precisely with Jupiter and Taurus, or not Jupiter and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus, until 2025. But it'll energetically square off with Uranus and Taurus, as well as just Uranus and Taurus. There we go. I thought it was gonna have another aspect, but I was like, no. That's not what that is. Anyway, so energetically it'll square off with Uranus and Taurus. And so I do wonder if the actions of leaders, if that will start to affect resources, or there will be some sort of new way, some sort of possibly new tax that comes from different laws and leaderships. I'm just thinking of Mercury being in Sagittarius at the same time. So something surrounding that, I think, is definitely brewing. And some sort of change in currency, or laws surrounding some sort of new currency come up as well. But we'll see. I think we'll see more of that in 2025 when Mars is solidly in Leo and it's not about to retrograde. And so just keep that in mind. So finally, we have Venus in Capricorn. So Venus in Capricorn is, it loves minimalism. If you think about Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And so when you put Saturn and Venus energy together, it creates commitment. It is love of leadership, love of authority, love of structure. We obviously do have Pluto in Capricorn at the same time, and eventually these two will conjunct. They'll come together. And so it can be, an extreme love of power, or this, love of achievement and ambition, which can be positive and negative in its own way. I think it can really lend itself to achieving your wildest dreams, because all of this will create a nice sextile with Saturn in Pisces, which can create the dream come true. Or, it essentially says, if you put in the work, things, you make those dreams into reality. You created the structure for it, and so it's starting to actually materialize. On November 9th, we will see the square between Neptune in Pisces and Venus in Sagittarius. Just kind of rolling back for a second. we'll see that square. So when I look at that in particular, it says to me that there can be like a time of overindulgence in escapism and it turning out in a way that's not as positive, or people that possibly, might have like issues with addiction. It's overindulgence in vices. Whenever we have squares, we're dealing with Mars like energy, and so it can be like some sort of vision issue, or like you're not able to see things clearly, possibly because whether it's like on the road and it's like during travel, and so travel can be delayed because of like fog or like some sort of water. Neptune is very much that, like fog, smoke and mirrors, like water kinds of things. But Venus in Sagittarius can be like, money that you spent on travel. And so there can be like, scammers that also come up and take large amounts of money. But I also see this as like, because it's Venus, it's what brings us pleasure. Um, and so it can be overindulgence in vices, such as anything, not just drugs and alcohol, even though that is what comes to mind first with Neptune being involved, as well as like a lot of Jupiter energy between Pisces and Sagittarius energy squaring off with each other. But it can also be this like possibly disillusionment that comes with like religion and spirituality and having to kind of grapple with where is your identity in that and what do you believe, as well as just kind of trying to escape from reality, like because neither one of those really wants to deal with reality. And so the way that it comes up in a square would be like, I am overdoing it in these areas because I don't want to deal with the reality of the situation. I don't want to budget. I don't want to restrict things. It's very much Jupiter energy and it's working out in a very Mars like way. And so be extra careful when traveling, especially with those vision issues, when it comes to travel, in, whether it be in cars or like just traveling in general. There can be delays. Just losing track of documents can also come up as well. Since we'll see, obviously Mercury and Sagittarius at the same time. On November 15th, we will see Venus and Capricorn squaring off with the North Node in Aries. I think this can be a time where, more so, where relationships supersede, or not relationships, ambition supersedes relationships. We can also see relationships from the past possibly coming up, because not only will Venus in Capricorn be squaring off with the North Node, it'll also be squaring off with the South Node as well, obviously. And so relationships can come back up, but I say ambition supersedes relationships because the North Node is what we're going towards. It's what we want more of. And so it's more so focused on ourselves and our own ambitions and what we want to create and pioneer. Venus in Capricorn very much also does that. But I guess the crux of it all and the square of it all would be, our relationships, asking us for more, and asking more so for the we of the thing, and us being like, no, I have my own plans that I would like to pursue, and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to commit to certain things because I have my own things and goals and achievements that I want to do, and finding a nice balance in that, I think, is going to be the struggle when it comes to all of that as well. I think that this can also come up, especially when we're talking about parental figures, authority figures. They can also talk about like leaving jobs just because like you don't really align with the job that you're in anymore, or you don't align with its values anymore. And so, a lot of people end up leaving possibly, by choice or because there are layoffs. That wouldn't surprise me. We're almost at the end of the year. And it's just kind of like the time that happens anyways. And so I could definitely see that being how this square also plays out. But the general kind of thing with this square is, will you rise to the occasion of commitment, or do you flee for something new, unknown? Are you trying to shrug off the shackles of commitment? And how are you doing that? Whether it's from a job that no longer aligns with your purposes and your goals anymore, Or is it because that entity or that relationship is releasing you? Much like we've already kind of seen with the rest of the aspects in this past month, especially kicking off with the new moon in Scorpio. Finally, kind of wrapping things up here, the full moon in Taurus is going to be its own video, and so I won't be talking about it in this video in particular. But I do want to kind of circle back to the not the full moon, the new moon in Scorpio that we have at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the month, which I think, because it's ruled by Mars in Cancer and it's opposing Pluto in Capricorn, I do also wonder if that has a lot to do with defense of country, or just like, things really heating up within country and people just being extra zealous as far as like patriotism or defense, in particular, defense of country, because Pluto is involved. And our leaders taking on a more extreme view on defense of country, possibly that have to do with things that are unseen, such as illnesses, things like that. Again, I don't want my channel to get like canceled before it's even really started. But I do really wonder if that's like something that we'll start to see with that opposition, because it's a way of the government controlling certain things in a way that they can justify, that's just very backhanded. And like, y'all get what I'm saying.
I see. We see each other. We see each other.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also think about how this plays out on a more personal level. People doing a whole lot of manipulation of information to get what they want and to keep control of certain things. It's the taking away of power and the regaining of power by daring to speak out or daring to go beyond, getting out of our comfort zone. And that's how we're starting out the month of November. And so when we get to the full moon in Taurus, that new moon, or that full moon will be conjunct Uranus, which is all about rebellion when it comes to things such as resources, money, relationships. It's all, I think, very much obviously connected. But I think definitely when Uranus is involved, we have groups of people that are rising up and making some sort of breakthrough or trying to make some sort of major change for a better future for the collective rather than for the individual. We're breaking from tradition, and we're breaking from tradition in Taurus-like things, such as we can see a lot of. I said I wasn't going to talk about the full moon in Taurus in this video, but I'm talking a little bit about it anyway. So there will be a more extensive video on the full moon in Taurus. But I think with Uranus being conjunct that full moon in Taurus, we're making breakthroughs and speaking out when it comes to Taurus-like things, such as banking, such as art that is kind of, replacing real artists with AI. I think a lot of conversations will be started about that in particular, and possibly like what kind of laws are, being put in place to protect in that sense, especially since at that point Mars will be in Leo, and Leo does also have a lot to do with like the artists and kind of like theater and movies and things like that, and celebrities and star power or whatever. And so it's kind of like, where are we being attacked as far as like, on a more creative level? Where is technology taking over a little bit too much as well? And where are we getting a little bit too big with creative AI? Where are things going a bit too far? So yeah, I think that is a good place to stop as far as November is astrology. Like I said, we'll have the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius happening on November 26th, which will really be reevaluating our personal philosophies and beliefs, as well as possibly, for some people, it can be returning to places overseas or returning to school, or, going back over or like it can be even be like not just going back to school, but relearning certain things. Because Sagittarius can be like higher education, or it can have like certain connotations of higher education, or just kind of like like an expansive view, or going beyond, like expanding your world view, or expanding your horizons. And so when Mercury is going retrograde, we're not only seeing some issues with what the media is telling us, and saying, hey, that doesn't make sense, but it also can be like where we are rethinking, where are we being a little bit too small minded, and where do we need to open up our perspectives on certain things. And I think also like relooking at certain laws on a collective level as well. But editing Micah here. So somehow I forgot to do the card for the month of November. And I'm not surprised that we got this card. We have the Page of Wands. So first of all, pages are very young energy. They can be about children, but for the month of November, since I'm not anticipating everybody getting pregnant, because I actually did get this card for like a pregnancy reading recently. But since not everybody watching this video is going to get pregnant, we're just saying it's very young energy. The Page of Wands is a rebirth, which I think definitely when we're looking at Scorpio energy going into Sagittarius, it's definitely that rebirth, like we were talking about, going from in the cave, in the darkness, to the light, to the enlightenment, is definitely that Scorpio to Sagittarius energy. But the Page of Wands is not just about enlightenment. It's also, of course, also a rebirth, but it's about freedom as well, which also fits. We are looking at Sagittarius energy in the month of November. We have all of these planets kind of shuffling through Scorpio and going into Sagittarius, where they are finding a more expansive view of whatever their superpower is as far as planetary powers go. And so we're looking towards that. Where is our freedom? We're unchaining the chains of our minds and looking to where we can expand our resources, expand our values, expand our relationships. Even if that means having to have the audacity. Because honestly, this card also gives me, for this month of November, it gives me the feeling of have the audacity to stand up for what freedom you would like in your own personal life. I think with that being said, Sagittarius energy is very much open to different cultures, to different perspectives, and it, being a mutable sign, never stops learning. And I think that's something also that we can take from the Page of Wands, is this excitement about learning something new and kind of bringing it into our own thought process. Continuously being that excited student, looking for the things that make you passionate and just kind of very excited, enthusiastic, even whatever lights your spark is what the month of November is, and taking time to figure out what that is if you don't know already. As far as the endings that are coming for November, the Page of Wands, I think, promises the opportunity to find that spark in you again. I think because of all of the heavy things happening in November, we're definitely looking at that being like the general energy of November. And so that's why I say that for the Page of Wands. But that is the card of November. And so I think all that's left is the outro. And so I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy the outro. With that being said, that is your astrology for November. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And if you're watching this video after it has come out and you're kind of already through most of November, tell me how it has been for you. Don't forget that the tarot reads for the 12 signs for Scorpio season will be on Half-Assed Witchery. The Scorpio season episode. Sagittarius episode should be coming out at some point during November. Fingers crossed that we can make sure that it's out on time. But it'll probably also be, those tarot reads will probably also be on that episode as well. But like, share, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next one.